For this review of Walking with Dinosaurs 2025, I'll be looking through every episode individually and give my thoughts on the series, the format, the narration, the graphics, all of that stuff in its own summation video. The narrative parts of this series are speculative, based on supposition of evidence rather than solid fact. Where the facts conflict with what is presented, I will point out the mistakes, but hopefully I won't get too bogged down in differences of opinion. The River Dragon is the episode of this series that many, including myself, were most interested in when the first clips came out. After a brief introduction, we see the Kem and Sobek, the Spinosaurus. Reconstructions of this dinosaur have changed a lot in recent years, but here we have the most up-to-date model. The kinked sail, long arms, short legs, and huge fin tail. Even the neck is long and had to be pulled back to keep it upright as it walks, give it a more bird-like, even duck-like appearance. This is excellent. The fleshy parts are interesting as this Spinosaurus does not have webbed feet, something suggested by Paul Sereno, and no lips, going instead for a very crocodilian mouth. Former I agree with, and I think that bare teeth were probably preferable to Spinosaurus' feeding strategy. I do think this latter is deliberate considering the prevalence of theropod lips in this series. We even see baby Spinosaurus. Only bits have been found, but these are what we would expect, particularly shorter sail and tail fins. If these were display structures, they would have grown rapidly when the animal approached maturity. Having the father look after the young is interesting, as this is a characteristic of some birds, and, seemingly, some other raptorosaurs. The Kem was a ridiculously dangerous place. In addition to the huge Spinosaurus, there were big crocs, azadarchid pterosaurs, and the massive Carcharodontosaurus. And this episode does, I think, a good job showing that. This is not named, but I think it's Aegisuchus, a potentially huge crocodilian and one of the few crocodilians that fit what we think of as crocodiles. What we see here is basically an iguanodon. There are footprints in these layers that match iguanodon in shape and size. The titanosaurs are again not named as they cannot be identified beyond that. Based on other titanosaurs though, some of the Kem's titanosaurs could grow to over 20 meters long. The Carcharodontosaurus is also good. It has the ridged snout, and one detail that you don't see in many reconstructions is the square chin. In the Spinosaurus Carcharodontosaurus standoff, I like this, pointing out the Spinosaurus' claws and size against the Carcharodontosaurus' killer bite. The Spinosaurus standing down is what I would expect as it had babies with it, and while Spinosaurus was a kind of jack of all trades in rivers and on land, Carcharodontosaurus was a land specialist, being more manoeuvrable and better at dealing with large prey. The presentation around the fire is pretty contrived, as I would prefer examining these specimens in decent light. But it's good television and nicely atmospheric. Also a good lead into the horror part of the episode. Love this part. Elanquer may not have been as big as it's portrayed here, but turning it into this Michael Myers style killer surprisingly works. The way its freaky body shape just blends into the forest is amazing. These little touches of spotting it in the background remind me of Phil Tippett's Prehistoric Beast. And this shot. It's only on the second viewing that I spotted the Elanquer hiding next to the tree. Seeing this from the Spinosaurus' perspective, it's totally believable that it didn't see this creepy thing. But where I and this episode find friction is this Spinosaurus in the water. Showing Spinosaurus preferring to fish on the bank, great. Based on all that I've seen, that is where it belongs. Nizar Ibrahim is part of this team and he is on the swimmer side of the discussion. So you get things like,
the more we collect, the more aquatic this thing becomes.
Yeah.
And when driven off the bank, good job showing the sail for display, the most probable function in my view, it dives. While swimming is probable, diving is hotly debated. I would note that like crocodiles, Spinosaurus would be far better at swimming than most other terrestrial animals. But compared to fish, crocodiles are pretty poor swimmers. They are not as streamlined, their legs flop about, and their tails don't have a particularly good fluke. Sailfish have a big sail on their back, but they can put it down when they want to move fast. Spinosaurus couldn't do that, so acting like a shark breaching the water with a kill in its mouth is a bit much for me. Still, this is a realm of active debate that Walking with Dinosaurs has stepped into before. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's wrong. It's speculation. That's the name of the game with these parts. At least in my opinion, it was good that they portrayed Spinosaurus as primarily a wading fisher. I wasn't expecting that, to be honest, with so much swimming stuff out there. Another thing that this episode does is build a cause of death into the narrative. They establish that Sobek did not die of old age, and have him die from an attack from the older Spinosaurus. After feeding his young, he lays down to die, mirroring how we saw him at the beginning of the episode. It is an affecting sequence, which is the point of the narrative elements in the first place. Finally, they uplift this, describing the discovery of his fossils. So let me know what you think. Some people are afraid to go near Spinosaurus as it's the centre of so much discussion that you get papers and opinions thrown at you no matter what you do. So interesting that Walking with Dinosaurs waded into this. And now I've dipped my toes in too. I don't know whether I'll get more comments on the Spinosaurus swimmer question than I got for an allusion to the Komodo dragon in my Allosaurus bite video, but I am interested in your opinions on this and other episodes. This is an edited version made suitable for YouTube. You can see my unedited version and my thoughts on the other episodes and the series as a whole on my Patreon. Link in the description.